Well, I'm going to zoom in now on this wonderful old lamp, which I am reapplying a patina to. Now, of course, we can see here her midriff here. I've already begun the work on that. And I'm going to show you the products that I'm using and talk a little bit more about the lamp. These femme fleur lamps or figural lamps were popular at the turn of the century in the Art Nouveau, the 1890s up to about World War I, and then of course modernism takes over and this falls out of fashion. So popular at the end of the Gilded Age, and I think it's important to remember that, you know, the Gilded Age, what we really have here is a coat of gold over top of what? Well, just common, ordinary spelter. Now, what I want to do is go closely, zoom in here on our lovely lady, and I want you to see these are the old antique traces of the old patina that was originally on her. It's unstable, and over the years it just fades away and flakes off and vanishes, and so we just have traces of what she would have looked like. So she was highly gilded when she was new, and now we're just down to the old spelter. Now, I didn't strip off that old patina, it just disappears with time. And as we move down, we have the old figural sockets, and I've already done the rewiring and restored the sockets. I've got to fix the chains, but she was never meant to be this ugly brown spelter. That's not what we were supposed to see. And so what I'm doing is I'm using, it's very sophisticated here, the end of a makeup brush, which is pretty stable, some Q-tips, yeah, and then the product that I'm using is this wonderful product called Rub N in Buff, and I'm using the antique gold. We see here, this can be bought in your craft stores. I forgot which craft store from where I procured this, but that's the name of it. It's a wax metallic finish, and it's tedious, and it's all being done by hand, and I've only just begun. And so if you were to take a can of spray paint, it would be horrible, I think. By doing it by hand, I'm able to sort of get a variation. Now, don't fear yet. You say, oh my goodness, it's so bright. This is just the first application. What I'm going to be doing is then toning this down by putting a stain on it, and then a lacquer over top of the whole thing. So she'll still be this, she'll have an old gold finish on her like she had, yeah. It's just that I'm going to try to get this new gold finish to sort of match this antique color finish here, which is what's original to the lamp. Now, she is missing a couple of her applied flowers, which I can reapply. One of them I've got, I just haven't put it back on yet. So a leaf fell off right there, and we have indication that there were some leaves here. And I just did a little bit of sampling down here to show you. So it's going to take me quite a while to do this. It's all done by hand, and as I said, it's just the first application here of the process. It's going to bring this beautiful gilded lady back to life again, so I hope that you'll stay tuned until the end, and we'll see what she looks like when she's finished. Gilded Age beauty is really coming back to life. And at this point, or right now, I'd like to say, I'm an amateur. I didn't go to art school. I didn't go to school to become a conservator at all. I've just been fiddling with old finishes really since I was a teenager. And I'm sure there are many different techniques and different products, and I suppose some folks would use items other than toothpicks and Q-tips, but it's a process that works for me. I'm happy with it. And I would just encourage you, you can do this. Now, what I want you to notice here is, boy, we've got her by the window here, so she's really gleaming. This is very close to what she would have looked like when she was new. Houses in that era were dark, and we're talking about the turn of the century. And so this beautiful gilded finish is simulating ormolu, which, you know, the average American couldn't afford. But if you had a few extra dollars in middle class, you could have ordered one of these from a catalog. A lot of them were made in France or Germany. And very affordable. Now, what I've done here is I've only just begun the base. Because this is not a spray paint, this material is a wax. It's a gilded wax. I'm able to get this variation in depth of finish, which might be difficult to see in the sunlight. But what I've done is I've gone back over with paper towels and whatnot and just wiped off some of the finish to wear it down a little bit and to bring out some of the spelter underneath there. So we just can see a hint of, isn't that awful? What is his name with the white suit? You know, the guy that coined the phrase, Mark Twain. We can now see why Mark Twain said it was the Gilded Age. But you can see I've wiped some of the gold off and to get down, as I said, to the spelter underneath to give it a little more of a worn feeling. I've even taken a little bit off her chin and just a little bit off her nose. Now, what I'm going to continue to do is I'm going to do the sockets as well, but I'm going to have to take them off. And then I've got to do the base. After that, we will go over it with a stain, which is going to give more of a darker, it's going to take the gold from this bright, shiny gold and darken it up just a little bit, sort of like this frame we see back here. And then we'll put a coat of lacquer on her, and she'll be all set. Okay, let's get back to work. Well, the old girl still has quite a ways to go, and I'm not going to reveal the whole thing until I'm finished. I haven't finished gilding her yet. But what I want to do now, I'll show you how I'm going to tone down this bright gold just a little bit more so that she looks a little more as though, you know, she's been sitting around in somebody's attic for 80 years. You can now take any type of stain that you want. You can get Minwax is a good stain. I happen to be right now, I'm just going to use a little bit of dark walnut, and this is a Howard product. It's called Restore a Finish, and this is actually a sort of a combination of a stain and a scratch cover. You can experiment with different types of stains. You really won't go wrong, or you really can't go wrong, honestly. So I'm going to pour let's see, I'm going to pour a little bit of this into the cap. I think, hold on, let me see. I know you can't see, sort of off camera there. Okay, there we go. So I've got a little bit in it in the cap right there. Let me move this out of the way because I'll end up spilling it. And I'm going to take a very fine brush. Really, it should be a little stiffer than that, but we'll make do. And I'm going to start, pardon my indiscretion, but we shall start here at her buxom bosoms. Bosom or bosoms? I guess she's only got one bosom. Let's just leave it at that. And we're going to go, maybe we'll start at the neckline. And I'm just going to take this dark walnut stain here. And we're just going to slop it on there, pardon the expression. And what this is going to do, immediately you see, oh no, she was so bright and gold. Well, she was. And she was a little too bright. We'll keep going. So what we've gone is under her chin, all around her neckline here, and down to the top of her outfit. And we've toned that down quite a bit. You see how it's looking more like a darker bronze color? And then it's very wet, so I don't want to leave it that way. I'm going to just go in and mop a little bit of that off. It's really an art more than a science, I would say. So I'm removing some of the material that I just put on. And if I decide I don't like that, then maybe I'll switch to a different color stain, but I think I'm okay with that. Let me lean, it's going to be very subtle. I'm going to lean her forward here. We're trying to build up depth here, and we've got a lot of sunlight coming through, so you may not be able to see. I can see off camera, or yeah, that all through here we've toned that sort of, we've taken the edge off that bright gold. And that's just one coating. It hasn't totally changed the color of it, but it's bronzed it a little bit. Just enough there. And I may go back in and do a second coat when that dries. And then remember, when the whole thing is finished, I'm going to then be putting a coat of lacquer on it. So let's just get up here and do, and also too, this is going to simulate years of housekeepers coming along and dusting and waxing and nicotine smoke from tobaccos and coal dust from furnaces and whatnot. Just give it that depth there and character that we want, just to age it some. Okay? We're going to come in here and I'm going to let this gather in the folds of her hair, the way dirt and grime would just sort of gather over the years. And this will eventually dry. I'm not going to be able to do anything with it for a couple of days because I am going to want this to dry before we spray it with some with a top coat, a very light top coat of a lacquer. And that'll protect her. So what I'm going to do now is pull back. I think I'll turn the camera around. So we've got her face and her neckline and the exposed part of her chest right down to the outfit, including the front of her hair. We've done that treatment too, okay? Let me spin her around and change camera angles. Hold on. All right, from this angle, I'm hoping you can see the difference. Again, it is subtle, but you see the part here that I've coated to age, as opposed to this bright and shiny brand new coat, which hasn't been aged at all. You see that? Now it's going to continue, it'll dry. Let me back away a little bit more. Okay, she's beautiful, and now she's looking a little more antique. I mean, she is an antique, but you know what I'm trying to say. Did not do the back of her head. Boy, you really see, turn that around and look at the shiny back of her head. I think she's dripping down her neck here. See that? So the back of the head hasn't been done, and as we turn her around, I think you can appreciate how she's aged a little bit, okay? And then we'll pull back a little bit more. She really is going to be fierce when she's finished, and I still have a lot of work to do. I've already spent several hours, but she's worth it. A job worth doing is worth doing right. Is that what the saying goes? Okay, darling. Now, of course, in the factory, the patina that was applied to these lamps was, well, they were mass produced, and so it was an assembly line type of procedure where they were sprayed. And but you know, over the years, a lamp like this would oxidize and be cleaned and polished and dusted, and it wouldn't have been unthinkable for somebody to come along at some point in history and shellac it. Oh, the magazines of the old days were filled with suggestions for housewives. We think painting old furniture is a new thing. Oh no, 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 no. There was plenty of that in the 20s. How to modernize your nasty old Victorian furniture. Spray paint it, or lacquer it, they used to say. And there would be pictures of women in their bobbed hair and their little drop waist dresses, butchering up antique furniture. Of course, in those days, they were trying to make it look nice. You know, a lot of people were given the furniture that belonged to their parents when they got married. And, you know, you want to be stylish. So I don't fault them, but that's the way we look at it today. And so these lamps were often repainted. They're not rare, but it's difficult to find survivors today with an original surface, which is always going to be now, you know, anywhere from 120 to 100 years old, the surfaces, and it's just, you know, they're hard to find. All right, we've got the back of her dress done here, and then I will spin her around a little bit and maybe have to I haven't finished the sockets, I haven't finished the base. But you see, we're building up depth here to this finish. You take a can of spray paint and go bzzz, ugh. You've got to go through the steps, really, if you want to build up a rich finish that's got some depth to it. So we're getting there. Now I will even out the chains, and I will finish the sockets, and I will certainly finish the base, and then she's going to get a top coat. Okay, so okay, this old gal is on her way. is she's a grand old girl. And I'm happy, I'm pleased with the way the finish turned out. She looks much more like the color on the picture frame, which is what I was really going for. And I do have a spotlight shining on her. I've not given her her protective top coat yet, which won't gloss her up. It'll just protect the finish. And, but you know, there she is. And she's got, I rewired her, of course, with reproduction silk cloth cord, which I always do to give her an authentic look. And she's not a newel post lamp. She was always made as a table lamp. And as I said, she's unmarked, but probably made in France or Germany. Yeah, there she's all back together again. And believe it or not, yep, she will be for sale in the old Curiosity Shop. Let me live with her for about a week and let the finish really dry on there and make sure that everything is ship-shape. I will be selling her, however, without the light bulbs and without the glass beaded covers. And the reason for that is some folks are going to want to do their own thing, maybe put Edison bulbs in there, what we call Edison bulbs today, or do something else. If you are interested in the flicker bulbs, they're easily obtainable. There are also resources for reproduction glass bulb covers, which can be had. But this is, you know, I like it this way. Other folks would have another way that they would like to display it. So let me turn, hold on for a second. I'm going to turn my spotlight off. Okay, and that gives you an idea that she's a little more subdued in color. I just thought maybe I needed all of that extra light. So there she is, circa 1900, pot metal, spelter base, figaro lamp, sometimes called a femme fleur. And we're going to go ahead and get her up, get her listed. So she will be in the old Curiosity Shop. She's heavy and she's tall, so she'll be not too cheap to ship. But listen, she's gorgeous. And I'm not going to do anything else. I was going to replace the broken flower back there, but we'll just leave that on there. I don't think it detracts from it. I think she's charming the way that she is. So, now listen here. If I can do it, you can do it. Get out there to your local flea market. Find some beat up old lamp, bring it home, and see what you can do. If you don't like it, you can always strip the finish off and start all over again. That's how we learn. We learn by making mistakes, and I made plenty of them over the years. So I hope this encourages you maybe to try to restore an antique lamp yourself. And I want to thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. By the way, I purposely left the bottom a little bit darker and had a little bit more paint loss on it because this is where the dust would collect. And so I'm trying to show a little more age on the bottom of the lamp as opposed to her body. But do you think I struck an okay balance between the finish and wiping the finish off and making her look? I wanted the patina to look as though it would be as close to original as possible, but aged. So that's it. Okay, thank you for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. And as soon as she's ready in the shop, I will let you know. I'm Scott from the old Curiosity Shop saying thanks for watching, and so long for now.